Welcome back everyone to another tutorial. In the next couple of videos I want to set up the combat mechanics on the character, starting with these fireballs, including some particle effects and also this effect that you can bounce away other, let's say, items which have rigid bodies depending on their size. They will bounce back. I will have some particle effects added, also an effect that the character is bouncing away. And there it goes, and the small block shoots away faster. So let's get right into it. So the scene is set up from one of my last tutorials, so just we want to continue on the same playmakers. If you followed along, please check those, as we will make some changes in the FSMs from the earlier tutorials. Now, before I get into the FSM, I want to set up a couple new things. For the player within the sprite, where all the, let's say, the animator is, I've added one trigger, which is called cast. And there are the cast sprites here as well. And I just dragged them in and I made a cast. So you can see this also in the animator. It's set up in a similar way like all the others. There's just a trigger condition cast. And after the cast, it's either running or back to idle. So that's set up already. And on the player itself, we need to make a couple changes. Before I had a FSM looking at the direction for the dash, and what I want to change here in the direction player, in which we flip the sprite to the left and right. To the right side, I want to add here a action which is called set bool value. Set bool value, and the bool variable will be player direction player. I made this one. It's a new variable. Sorry, there's also a player direction bool. Can remove this direction player. So make this variable, and the bool value is here true when it's looking to the right. And once you turn to the left, I want the bool value to change here. So, and we're going to use this direction bool for different things. Also for the dash, I now included this check bool direction player to dash to the right or to the left, depending on the bool value. And the same we will use when setting up the shooting mechanic. So please put this in. Great. Now, some things before we set now the shooting FSM, before I create the shooting FSM, is that I want to first create a fireball. So the fireball is also an easy sprite. I can just drag it in, and let's call it just fireball 1. I already created one here, but I just want to show you shortly how to do it once more. Perhaps make it a little bit smaller, 0.8 or 6 maybe, if even 0.6. Whoops. However you like it, actually. And I want it on the player, and I want it in front of everything. Let's just put it on 5. It depends how you want to do it. Of course, not in front of everything, because if you have things in the front, make sure that this value is where you want it. And make sure to tag this as an tag. With this tag, that's very good. And I want to add a circle collider. And I don't, here is also, you can make it either a trigger or not. Perhaps let's make it here on the front, something like this. And I'm going to add a rigid body 2D, and make sure to set the mass to the smallest possible. Actually, you can also put it higher. You can actually put it higher to make a bouncy effect when it hits an enemy, that it has an impact, a mass. It's going to do the collision continuous. And yeah, I'm going to leave it like that. So what I can add is perhaps a particle system as well, like this. And I have one particle system, and perhaps we can duplicate this one. So now we have two, double the effect, and then perhaps one, I will add collisions with the world, so that once it starts shooting, you have some particles falling in front and some on the ground. And I made just a very simple particle system here, nothing special to it. If you want to have a look, it's the setup, emission, just rate over time 50, hemisphere shape. Just always play around with this to get it right. I did a color over lifetime, so the starting particles are always invisible, or let's say less visible. That will give you a smoother transition. And I just added a render material, which is one of my materials. It's something like this here, this particle. It's nothing special. Great. And so that's one. I can also add here perhaps a light, point light. Wow. Oops. I need, of course, to add a light 2D and then a point light 2D. Down, intensity up a little bit. Make sure that the layer is on the correct field. So maybe not the background, just the area here. So you can have this light on the ground when it's moving around. And let's call this one Fireball Right, because this one will shoot to the right. And what I'm going to do here is make a small FSM, add FSM, and I'm just going to set velocity 2D. Going to clear this one out. I'm just going to do the X. I'm just going to put it on 8. Right. And there I want to add a collision to the event. And I need to make several collision to these events here. But because I have a lot to, let's say, touch, and the moment I touch something, I want it to explode. Let's just do the wall for now, because there's a wall coming up. Where is it? There, the W. And then the transition finished. And of course, you can just copy paste this, and in the wall you also should have the enemy there. And on the enemy, you can do the enemy control of getting damage. I will cover that in the next, let's say in the next tutorial. So this one is the add velocity, right? And the next state is if once I collide something, I want to create an object, and the object is a explosion, and the spawn point is just the fireball where it is. And what else could I do is also, of course, set a sound, and I should put this here as well. Play sound. I found here something. I think there is a shoot sound. Groot. And after I created the fireball, exploded, I will destroy myself. So this is explosion. And destroy yourself afterwards. So this is the setup of this, let's say, fireball when shooting to the right. And this shooting mechanic is set up in a way that I can only shoot straight to the right or straight to the left. I will try to cover, let's say, a variable shooting. If you have, let's say, a mouse pointer and you want to just shoot towards the mouse, I will try to cover this in also one of the next tutorials. But I'm just going to set up a basic shooting mechanic here. Good. So if I press play now, you will see what happens. This one is, and then it exploded against the wall. We couldn't see it. But so the moment I spawn this fireball, then it will just start flying. And that's why we need in the direction of the player if I'm facing right or left. What else do I need on the player is a shoot right and shoot left. So what I did is just create two objects, one to the right side and one to the left side, because we have set up the player in such a way that I only flip the sprite and not the whole player. So otherwise, if you have it set up in such a way that you flip the whole character anyway to the left and right, you only need one shooter in the front. No? But I have now a right shoot and left shoot, respectively, to the right and left side. Great. By the way, the explosion, there was also some explosion particle here, and I just added there also a particle system, and the same one with collision and the other without collision, and it's just a burst and a short animation, which was also included in the effects. There is an explosion, and I just included those. Just drag them all in, add some particle systems, and on the explosion itself, I did a weight of 0.4. That's how long this animation is taking. I play a sound, which is explode sound, and I destroy myself. So anything I create, it will destroy itself. On the fireball, which I just created just now, I could also make a timer and then let it explode, so it doesn't fly forever. But this is up to you. So let's make then here a prefab. And here it is, fireball right, which we just created. And now you should make the same for the left. And I already pre-made this, so the right and left one. So let's use those. It's the same as this one. For the left, of course, you want to set the velocity to -8 because it flies the other direction. And you just want to flip the sprite with the X. Now you could also set up, let's say, within one fireball to flip it either to the right or left by getting, let's say, the player's direction. But I've just set up now two prefabs, one shooting to the right and one shooting to the left. Great. Now, so that's set up. Now let's go to the player again. So we have the direction here of the player, and let's now add a FSM. And let's call this FSM shoot fireball. Great. And the first state is, let's say, get input. And in the get input state, we can do get key down. And this is for everybody different. We can just set something now for the sake of an example. And I'm just gonna, oops, I want to set the F for fire. And then it's finished. Great. And the next state is already very simple. I'm going to do a bool check here. So get FSM bool. So first I want to get a bool from this FSM, the direction FSM. So this is direction player. The variable name is also direction player. And I'm just gonna make a new variable shooting direction. Great. And then I'm going to do a bool test. Bool test. Yes. And the bool test is shooting direction because I'm actually saved it. If it's true, it's to the right. And if it's false, then I'm shooting to the left. So true, I'm gonna make a new event is shoot right. And false, I'm going to make a new event is shoot left. Now let's add those transitions. Shoot right, shoot left. And let's first make the right one. And of course, let's name the state bool check. Fire right. And here I'm going to create an object. And here's then the prefab fireball right. And I'm just going to use the one which I just created, which is similar to the one I already created. Spawn point should be right shoot. Good. That's one. And to spice it up a little bit, get this effect that the player casted, and I mean he's bouncing back a little bit, I also want to add force 2D just on the owner. And I'm just going to add a force on the X, and let's just do minus 300. Just a short frame, so it just bounces back a little bit, the player. And I want to set animator, new animator trigger. Set animator trigger. And of course, this is then on the sprite. And I'm going to use cast, because when I cast, I trigger the animation of as well. I'm going to add a transition to finished. And this state is the wait state, because I don't want to be able to shoot infinitely. Just get a short cooldown. And this is up to you as well, how you want to do it. Just going to put 0.2, transition finished, finished, and I'm going back to the start. Let's use the fire right, copy paste it, and make it fire left, shoot left, and of course, whoops, on the shoot left, set animation trigger is fine. Add force 300, because now I bounce the other in the other direction. And I'm going to use the firebolt left and spawn at the left shoot. And I'm going to connect it into the wait. Let's delete this prefab. Let's see if there's nothing here, because I don't want to see this anymore. Let's go on the player. Let's not maximize, because I just want to see if all the FSMs are working. I'm going to press play. Let's test it out. So let's first look in the direction. So as you can see, here is the bool now false. And if I'm here, the bool is true. And shoot fireball. As you can see, also on mouse click, I'm attacking. I will also set up this attack move. And now if I press F, you can see that I'm bouncing back a little bit. And you can see the effect also quite nicely. Yeah. Whoops. All right. I didn't have the respawn checked, but it's working quite well. In the next tutorial, I just want to set up some enemies as well with life, so you can start hitting those. But for this one, I just wanted to show you how you can set it up, and with some particle effects, you can see how it works. You can see actually that this particle is going in front, and the part is also on the ground, so that's pretty cool. So you can easily spice up your game with these particle effects. Great. I hope you enjoyed this. And as you can see here, something's shooting at me. And I've been trying to make a setup that I make an enemy cannon, which is always targeting me. But I'm not very satisfied with it yet. But in one of the future tutorials, I will also try to use that, so that there are cannons which can just shoot at your enemy and always find the right location. And of course, I should be able to shoot them back. Boom! Well, I hope it helped to set up this first stage of shooting enemies and also hitting. Hitting is actually just an animation trigger as well. But I will also show this in the next tutorial, and I will make some dummy enemies, and I will give the enemies also some health. Okay, thank you for watching, and then see you in a later tutorial. Thank you, and please don't forget to subscribe or like the video if you actually liked it. Cheers. See you guys.